Before the meeting commences, I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and Gadigal people who occupy the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick Local Planning Panel, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders past and present and the Aboriginal people in attendance today. So I am the chair of the panel today, and my name is Sue Francis, and with me I have James Lidis and David Epstein, who are the expert members, and Richard Horton, who is the community representative on the panel. We have all been asked to declare if we have any conflicts of interest, and I will go around the panel and ask the individuals to identify on the record whether they have any conflicts. Richard.
I have no conflicts.
David Epstein, I have no comment.
James?
James Lidis, I have a non-pecuniary interest. My son works as town planner at Randwick City Council, but there are no applications before us that have been dealt with by him.
Thank you. I'm happy to accept James's conflict of interest, and I'm Sue Francis, and I don't have any conflict of interest. I do know that someone is not muted because we're getting feedback. It's really important that everyone's on mute, because otherwise we get feedback that we can't hear. Can everyone please check they're on mute? Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. So today we have 2 items on the agenda, and I have 7 people for the first item, and which is 18 to 14 Macaulay Street, Matraville, and 5 people for the second item, which is at 12 Todman Avenue, Kensington. What I will do is I have a list of people in front of me. I will call them. They are registered to speak, and only those who are registered to speak will be called to speak. When you are called to speak, please be aware that you have 3 minutes to make your representation. We may or may not ask questions at the end of your representation. Please make sure that you don't use any defamatory or offensive language, because we are being recorded, and that would be inappropriate. Also, please speak clearly, and that includes us as well, because it's a public meeting and it's sometimes hard for everyone to hear. One thing I will say is very important. We have seen the site. We have read your submissions. We don't need you to read your submission. That would be a waste of your 3 minutes. It's really important we just understand what your key issues are. It is also important that to understand you don't need to repeat the issues that someone else has already said, other than to say, I agree with whoever, because it's not about volume. It's not about how many people have the same issue. It's about the veracity of the particular issue that the panel is concerned about. So with that in mind, we will move to the first item, which is DA 5324, as I said, 18 to 14 Macaulay Street, Matraville. And the first speaker I have is Councillor Noel D'Souza. And please put your camera on and unmute yourself. Are you there, Councillor D'Souza? Is Councillor D'Souza online that you're aware of? Okay. Well, perhaps in the circumstances, we'll come back to Councillor D'Souza. So then I'll go to my next member of the public, which is Peter West. Peter, if you unmute yourself and camera on so we can see you, would be great. Fantastic. You have 3 minutes. Floor's yours.
No worries. So good morning, everybody. Good morning also to the members from Price and Speed. I'm representing local residents and local community against the DA under consideration. First of all, again, through the process, I think I want to thank everyone for their engagement, support and transparency. Secondly, I wanted to acknowledge that I have worked with Price and Speed in the past, and they are a reputable company, and this is, I'm not speaking against them in any way as an attack against the company, or is it a refusal against any progress. This is more a request by the community for reasonable consideration and a separation between commercial activities and residential wellbeings, as well as a request for full transparency for the intentions of the site moving forward. Our concerns relate mainly to the request to operate 24 hours a day, even on a trial basis, given its close proximity to residential properties, and mainly during the nighttime hours is more of our concern. We reference more in relation to the residents' quality of life, mainly in relation to noise pollution that would cause. We've referenced various New South Wales Government acts, which I've submitted to the as well as the acoustic report that was prepared as a part of this DA. The acoustic report confirmed that those noise levels will exceed the sleep disturbance trigger levels across the various scenarios. I specifically referenced the modelling in scenario 3 with the air brakes at 50, reaching residents affected at 57 to 60 decibels, and scenario 3.1 with the reversing alarms with up to 57, which exceeds the limits set for an industrial interface. The limits set by the local and state governments, I don't believe are meant to act as indicators only or guides, but more as enforcement levels and maximum levels that are stated to ensure those the well-being of the community as well as the commercial activities. I also note that there's inconsistencies between the scenarios in 2 and 3, and I'm not sure of the relevance the assessors drawing on comparison to major road developments, etc. So we believe daytime operations would be tolerable with the acoustic fencing, but expecting residents to endure the levels throughout the night is unreasonable, and this is confirmed with the acoustic report, and it'd significantly disturb residents' sleep and well-being. We've also cited what we feel is a breach of the procedural integrity with a lot of the expected enforcement moving forward. We're not sure how that process would work. You know, we have seen rules being put in place until, you know, specific actions are taken. It tends to act as more indicators more so than anything. And we also question whether there'll be a request for a potential future upgrade of the DA moving forward once this is approved. We note that the site was being used and works have been done on the site before the DA was submitted or approved. I believe there's also been some additional questions raised in relation to the installation of the gate, but I'm not sure of that. That was just a message that was forwarded from Noel D'Souza. Upon a review of the acoustic report, we have concerns whether this is indeed meant to be a truck parking and workshop facility. The indicated volumes of traffic that would be using the site at the peak time seems more consistent with the container transfer facility, and given the proximity of the port, I would assume that would be more the case. And I don't.
Peter, you've used your 3 minutes. Do you want a little bit of an extension?
Yeah, if I could ask for 1 more minute, that would be good.
Okay, 1 more minute it is.
Yep, no worries. And then, you know, mostly it comes down to the ability to minimise the impacts on the developments of these type of general industrial zones and their impact on surrounding residential areas and their effect on the community. I also feel that given the size only approved for 8 prime movers and 10 employee cars, the detrimental impacts on the residents in the 24-hour operation and community well-being far outweigh any potential economic impact benefits. So I've highlighted a few questions on the documents that I've provided, and I think the main question is, you know, is it a viable commercial option with that only 8 prime movers? And second, could those activities be adequately done by excluding the times between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much. Peter, can I ask you where you live?
Yeah, I live in 5 Macaulay Street.
Macaulay Street, thank you.
Yeah.
Panel members, any questions of Mr. West?
No, not that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think I might be connected now, Council Chair.
Councillor D'Souza?
Yes. I think, thank you. May I
That's
speak
right.
on
Can you
the
put your
matter,
camera on, or you not in a
please?
position?
I couldn't do that.
Okay,
the
that's
power
okay.
problem, but may I just speak on the matter, please, Madam Chair?
Yes, sure. The floor's yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, members of the panel. My name is Noel D'Souza. I've been a mayor and a councillor for over 10 years. I was the mayor when this council was under threat of amalgamation, so I know all about despair and discord. I fought for our community on that occasion and won. I once again been compelled to act for the residents on this matter because they are hurting and feeling abandoned by council. The speaker before me has put forward strong reasons why this project should not proceed, and if it does, there should be strict conditions protecting the quality of life of our residents. I know you will be guided by the important principles in environmental law of the principle of intergenerational equity, and more importantly, the precautionary principle. In this matter, both principles should support that this DA should be looked at closely with strict conditions applied. Madam Chair and members of the panel, you can acquire a house, but not a home. Because a home is built of bricks and mortar, but not just of bricks and mortar, but with, in this case, with love and memories, lots of memories, a place to come home to spend time with your family and friends. Justice, my friends, should be for all, not just for some. In this matter, the residents have shown tolerance and understanding. I've heard the protests of the residents, those same residents who appeared before you, and looking at to you, this panel, feeling their hopes and fears are in your keeping. This matter is about to end. To them, it is life. Their fate is in your hands. Their eyes are fixed on you, and their hearts go out to you. Their hopes hang on your verdict. This is all I ask of you on behalf of the residents, on behalf of these helpless ones who turn to you. And more than that, on behalf of this great council and this great city of Randwick, which must face this problem and face it fairly, I ask you in the name of progress to return a decision that protects the quality of life of our residents, and mitigating actions and conditions so will be placed on the applicant to address noise pollution, air quality, and that this space can only be used for parking. No container loading or unloading occurs at this site, and no noisy repairs compromise the residents' quality of life. So as I see it, Madam Chair, looking at the application, etc., and council has also said yes, it ticks all the boxes. Then I appeal to you and your group to protect our residents, their quality of life, mitigating walls, noise protection, air quality. These are things that have to be addressed. There is only a thin line that divides the residents from the general industrial side. When they bought their homes, they bought it and they were made aware of what was there then. But since then, the rules have changed. The goalposts have been moved. And unfortunately, they are victims of what is going to occur. So I appeal to you to do something, to take mitigating actions, to put strict conditions to protect the quality of life, the quality of air, and protect them from noise pollution. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the panel.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for listening.
Thank you very much indeed. Panel, any questions of Councillor D'Souza? Thank you very much indeed, Councillor. We'll move to our next speaker, who is Stephen Andrews. So if Stephen would put his camera on and unmute himself, it'd be great.
All right, can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, I can. Fantastic. The floor's yours.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, I'm calling today. I live at 9 Macaulay Street, Matraville. I bought there in 2009, and since I've been living there, it's changed a hell of a lot. We've had constant chains being thrown around. I'm a shift worker myself. I'm a train driver, and at all the depots I work at, they have serious implementation for noise pollution. You've been allowing this to happen for 2 years, right? Trucks idling at like 3, 4 in the morning, throwing chains around, taking up parking, what are you doing? Why are you letting something illegal like this happen for so long? You know, we're rate paying residents. I've had to actually knock my house down because my house got so bad with cracks and whatnot. At 55 years old, I had to go into more mortgage to borrow money because it was going to cost me 200 grand to sell and move elsewhere. And so I ended up just having to take it on the chin and build a new home, which didn't cost me that much more because the place I had just kept getting cracks all through the ceiling, the walls, everything from the trucks going past, the constant work, vibrations, 3 a.m, throwing chains around, all kinds of, how about we come to your house and we do out the front of your house at 2 or 3 a.m, see how you like it. I'm not happy with any 9 to 5 solution either, because I'm a shift worker and I get up in, sometimes late in the afternoon, sometimes early in the morning, and it's impossible to sleep there. Constant trucks going up and back and trying to do 3-point turns because they can't fit around the corner. There's no parking. There's cars all over the place. What the hell are the council doing? Why aren't they looking after the rate-paying residents? I mean, it's all. I understand we live near Port Botany, but the bottom line is they need to find a more suitable location. There's plenty of places around, and our place isn't one of them. Our place is residential. Simple as that.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions, panel? Thank you very much indeed. We now have, I have another Stephen McAndrew now, which might have confused.
No, I think you've just misspelt my name. My name's Stephen Andrews.
No, there is a Steve McAndrew because I saw his picture.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's you're on mute, Steve. That's fantastic. The floor's yours,
Okay.
Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the panel. Look, I'll be brief. What Peter West and Noel D'Souza said before is pretty much 100% accurate. The fact is that this sits right on the border of the industrial and residential zoned area of Matraville. In fact, just across the road from people's and families' homes. Now, I've been in the industry for a long time as a manager, logistics and operations manager, and no sound barrier will prevent the noise, the vibration, the disruption that these large trucks will generate, especially in the middle of the night or early morning. And it will severely affect, and as Noel and Peter said, the quality of life, because these homes have families, young kids got to get up for school, all sorts of things. Now, at the moment, this area has to put up with from the noise from the port. Now, we were told time and time again that the noise would be mitigated by the EPA. Well, it hasn't happened. Many homes suffer from the noise from the port. Now we're going to have a 24-hour operation, a truck depot operation. I'm not against the business setting up, but they must not work outside normal business hours, simply because they're just across the road from family homes. Now, I live around the corner in Perry Street. I get the port noise all the time. I can imagine what these people in Macaulay Street have to put up with. Now they're going to have to put up with a 24-hour articulated truck operation. I mean, to get to this stage is just laughable. It should not have got to this stage. It's not our fault that the zone changed from light industrial to general. It's not our fault. And I've just got one question. As I said before, I just wanted to be brief because I agree with everything Noel said and everything that Peter West said. But the question is, does the quality of life matter for the residents at this present time? Because if this truck depot goes ahead, it doesn't matter. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Steve. Any questions, panel? No. Thank you very much. We've heard what you needed to say. Thank you very much. Next speaker I have is Richard Smolensky. Richard. Richard Smolensky. Or perhaps we'll leave Richard. I'll come back in a minute. Next speaker I have is Leanne Fuller. Leanne? Do we have Leanne or she's not appearing? Okay. How about Luke Zarchek as the applicant?
Madam Speaker, can I ask a question, please?
No. Who's speaking?
I'm Leanne Fuller's husband, Scott Atkins.
Oh, right, sorry.
I
Yes.
apologise. She's at work at the moment, so she might be having problems trying to get through. And I was going to ask if I could speak on behalf of her, if that was okay.
Yes, that would be fine. That would be fine. On behalf of Leanne, yes?
Yes, we're in the same house. We both
Yep, that's
live in
fine.
Macaulay Street.
Yes.
My concern is I was a bit, the residents were a little bit strange that when down the bottom of our street, council objected to a 24/7 operations of a warehouse to the state government, and I think the state government ended up overruling them. And we were confused why council didn't have the same objection to this price and speed truck car park, as it's closer. It's 20 metres from residents. It's since they got first started moving their trucks in there, they did it by stealth without any DA. They done illegal civil works, construction works, widening of the gate. They've got a heavy forklift in there. They've done all of this against, and then when they were forced to put in a DA, they've still gone against what their DA stated. It was 8 trucks from the start, or 9 trucks, I think, offhand, but they've been allowing 16 trucks in there. All of these emails have been going through to council, but their blatant disregard for the community down here has been laughable to start with. And I don't understand, even with the conditions put in place on their DA, they haven't abided by anything yet, so why would they continue to abide by it? As one of the other residents mentioned, I'm a shift worker also. This 24/7 down here, the noise is unbelievable of the night time. It affects the street, it affects the adjacent streets in the community. And I object to the business going ahead altogether. As residents, I'm not allowed to start my lawnmower or with the snipper before certain times or after certain times. But how could we even come to an opinion where we will let trucks work all night long, driving past, waking everyone up? It's laughable. I don't understand it. And we've gone through this from what I could, some of the emails I've gone through, this was a 24/7 and the zoning changed to help during COVID, to help businesses not going bankrupt during COVID. That's all gone. Why hasn't that 24/7 been rescinded for the area?
They're seeking consent for it. They haven't got it.
Correct, but council directed to an email that Michael Daly sent through to me. That's where I was a
The
bit
panel
confused over.
can't comment on what or some councillor or council staff may or may not have said.
Well, I apologise. I apologise, Madam Speaker. I take that back then.
Yeah, that's okay.
We've received so many emails regarding this from state government, from councils, the precinct committee, and we're trying to get our heads around it. And it's frustrating. It hurts as a resident down here. For this,
Okay.
it shouldn't have been allowed. The original site, I've been here about 27 years. The original site from when I was a kid and lived near here, it was for training for Ausgrid, for people to go in there and train on telegraph poles. It was never envisioned for it to come through as a trucking depot where they can do service works. Are they going to try and amend the DAs? We're scared.
Thank you very much. I think I might take the opportunity, because the next speaker is the applicant, so I might take the opportunity to ask the applicant a few of these questions. Thank you very much indeed on behalf of Leanne.
Thank you.
Thank you. So unless Richard Molensky's there now, Richard, are you there by any chance? No. Okay, so we'll now go on to the applicant, and I know I have three names, which is Luke Zarchek, Tom Cook, and Kevin Maloof. Who wishes to speak? And are you all together? And can I have all your cameras on, please? Oh, there you go. You're all
Yes.
fantastic.
Hi, Madam Chair. Tom Cook from Meacone, and joining me here is Luke Zajic from the office as well.
Fantastic.
We've got Kevin Maloof and Joe also dialing in from Price and Speed. I might quickly go first. Look, we're more so here.
Sorry, before you go ahead, obviously I'd like you to respond to a lot of the issues that have been raised by the submitters and respond to those issues. But one thing I'd like you to do up front is to clarify the works that you undertook, or rather not you personally, the applicant undertook in respect of the unauthorised works, and were they the same as the works that you're currently seeking or different?
Look, in terms of those works which have previously have been done, I might defer to Kevin and Joe just to probably clarify that, if that's all right.
Madam Speaker, I'll clarify a lot of the points.
Yep, thank you.
That have been. I'm the guy that is in the hot seat. I run Price and Speed Containers, and thanks for your time for listening to us. Just so you know who I am, I've been running container depots in Botany for over 40 years. I've been in, we currently run 4 depots in Botany, and I absolutely sympathise with the concerns of Peter, Stephen, Mr. De Silva and Andrew and everyone that's spoken. I don't want a truck depot next to me either if I was a resident. I totally get the noise issue, and they're worried we're going to be running trucks all night. What Price and Speed intended and is seeking to do here is we're not a big trucking company, we're a container depot. And where the containers are unpacked and the noise will come from is my other depots in Botany, in Baker Street, in Julian Street and in 8 Coldpier Road. That's where the heavy noise is going to come from. And I totally get that they're worried I'm going to be running trucks all night to pick up our containers from the wharf and bring them back. We are not, and I'll say it again, we are not a nighttime trucking company. The trucking part of my business bolts onto the depots. We only really seek daytime slots between 6 and 6 of an evening. So I take away all their fears that we're going to be running side loaders that make a noise in the street and cracking of chains and forklifts. We are not running forklifts in that yard. We have an 8-ton TCM in there to lift if a truck gets bogged or something, it's there to help it. We haven't done illegal works there. There was a concrete slab that Ausgrid left that was cracked and dangerous, and we concreted over it. That was the illegal works we supposedly did. The only thing we did on that site was put up a fence and shade cloth because I'm worried as hell that we keep our dust and noise, any noise, within the 4 fences of the depot. Now, trucks. I run Volvo trucks. All my trucks are under 12 months old. I don't run old clinkers. I don't run Kenworths with heavy air brakes. I don't run loud reverse beepers because I care about the residents. It's going to upset them. And so all my trucks are under 12 months old. They're quiet. Yes, we've been running out of there because we had nowhere else to put our trucks when we got removed out of Beecham Road. And I asked the council to help us park it. We've been running for over 4 months there, and I have not, in my opinion, and we haven't had any complaints parking up 8. I've got 8 drivers, 10 trucks that park up there of a day. And there will be early morning starts. And why we were seeking a 24-hour license, because at the odd time, your truck can't get back in time because a client holds you up or something goes wrong. It's not a perfect
Kevin,
world.
is that after? So you say you take slots of 6 to 6, 6 a.m. to 6.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
only run
mean-
one shift.
Right. So if your pickup is, say, 6 p.m.,
Sure.
how long does it take the vehicle to get, generally, to get back
Yep.
to your depot?
If he starts up there at 5:36, he gets in. Most of my drivers start at 6. 4 minutes, 5 minutes to get to my depot. We're right round the corner of Baker. You know where East Gardens is on
Yeah.
Wentworth Road? We're right across the road. That's where the big noise happens, Madam Speaker, at my other depots. So yes,
So-
I'll start up. Now I've locked off the entrance because I was worried about them. At Macaulay, no trucks in and out of Macaulay. They're coming in and out of Raymond, and I'll put a sound wall up on Macaulay because I'm that concerned. We don't want to upset their lifestyle. And we've taken the extra time to put that in our DA. We don't want to upset that. We worked with the neighbours at Wilson Street when I was in Pemberton Street the same way. We coexisted. We can coexist with the neighbours, and we will respect them, and we
Can
will
I just
make
clarify
sure.
this then? And perhaps your planners can assist, perhaps Miko can assist.
Sure.
The application, your standard hours are to 10 p.m. On the basis of what you've just said, you don't need much past 6 p.m.
On the odd occasion, the trucks might park up to about 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah,
if
not-
worse come,
Yeah.
maybe to 9 at night.
And then
So
we
that
get the
doesn't
odd,
need 24 hours then, does it?
It probably doesn't. No.
The other dimension.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps Miko, you can add some responses to some of the other questions.
Yeah,
So,
look, just on, thank you, Madam Chair, just on top of what Kevin has run you through, I guess probably important to note that we do appreciate that there has been an unlawful use at the site for a number of years. I think this is definitely an opportunity with this DA to resolve a lot of those issues and a lot of the concerns that the community have raised. There has been a lot of concessions made through the DA process with council and through consultation with the community to ensure that the operations do fall within compliance on both acoustic and traffic grounds. The acoustic report has found that it does comply with the industrial noise policy, as well as obvious concessions, as Kevin took you through before, having access directly off Raymond Avenue and blocking off access from Macaulay. Probably also important to note, and I think it's referenced within Council's assessment report, is that given the location and zoning of the site, it is subject to the exempt provisions of the exempt and complying SEP, which does allow for 24 operations. This consent and those conditions which have been imposed around the review of noise testing and those operations on site at 6 and 12 months provides further certainty moving forward that outside of what would otherwise be operating as exempt development potentially in 24 hours, it does firm up that confidence and testing moving forward to ensure that if there is further noise generated from the site that falls outside of the industrial noise policy thresholds, then that will come up through that testing. And if that does occur, then the operations need to fall back in line with the base hours, which are, I believe, 6 till 10. So I think it has been demonstrated through the DA process that both from our specialist consultants on noise and traffic, as well as council's specialists and their review, there have been concessions made to ensure that compliance is achieved and that there are adequate levels of amenity to those residents. Yeah.
sorry, can I just translate that to perhaps the members of the community who may be listening? You're actually only seeking truly till 10 p.m, but because there is another piece of legislation called the Port SEP that would otherwise allow you to operate 24/7, you added that into your application so that you can put in, so that the application can be mitigated up to the 24 hours limitation?
No, that's not the case. The 24 hours exempt provisions of the code set are there. It's not something that we've used as basis for the proposed DA and the hours sought. They are hours which, from what we understand, Price and Speed require for their operations. I'll defer obviously to Kevin to comment on that, but it is nonetheless something that is there, state legislation which has been introduced to allow that to occur, but it hasn't been the basis for why we're seeking it under the DA.
But what I was trying to get through, Madam Chair, is that while we're in the Port SEP and it's there, the rules are there for us, we're not going to use it. I don't run a night shift, which I think the residents are worried I'm going to run all night. I can put their minds at ease. We run mainly a day shift, but it's there in case we need it on the odd occasion. I've got to park a truck overnight, or someone somewhere wants something delivered in the night. It's not the norm. And let me tell you, the mechanic that's on the corner right next door to us, we will not make any more noise than what he is. If the residents are worried about noise, I can assure you, backing a truck up and running a truck parking, and I'm not trying to extend the DA once we get in the door. I will only ever do truck parking there. I'm not trying to unpack containers or do something that's going to cause more noise than what's acceptable now. There's if they know price and speed, don't get upset with us for people that were there before, because it was abused before. We don't treat our neighbours like that. It's not the way I operate, if that helps the residents and our neighbours at all.
Can I ask a question just from my own ignorance?
Sure.
You said the word truck parking.
Sure.
You say you have truck depots elsewhere, which is where you undertake other activities. But this application is for use of the site as a truck depot. Is that a misdescription? Absolutely,
it's a misdescription. It's mainly, Madam Chair, truck parking. You're right. Okay. A depot means you're unpacking containers. We might have. You got a good point. It's not a truck depot. It's a truck parking facility.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you very much. We might be able to deal with that. Okay, panel members, any questions of any of the applicant? No. Oh, they've got no questions. Oh, that's too easy. Okay. Thank you very much.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
No, unfortunately, Stephen, you're not. It's only us. We get that luxury. No, I'm afraid not. Sorry.
Madam Chair, sorry, do you mind if I just have a quick response to that? Yep. The characterisation of that land use. Kevin's probably right in that, I mean, there's a stigma that comes with truck depots, and it's probably not so appropriate to be calling this type of operation a truck depot. Be that as it may, it is consistent with the land use definition of a truck
I'm
depot.
not criticising the description. Okay, I'm just trying to nuance the description to address some of the issues that may have been raised and the concerns that may have been raised.
Just wanted to clarify, but
that's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. In relation to this Macaulay Street matter, we will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is for the application 5424. Oh no, I'm telling a lie. That's just the item number on the agenda. It's 12 Todman Avenue, and I have 5 speakers. And the first speaker I have is James Turner. So James, you still there? Listening to all the things about depots?
No, not bad.
Okay, so the floor is yours, 3 minutes.
No worries, thank you. So yeah, my name's James Turner. I'm from Turner Traffic, and I've been engaged by the Rayleigh Park community as a qualified traffic engineer with 13 years experience to provide a technical objection. Thank you to the applicant for responding to my initial report, requesting for further information, and the traffic report that wasn't part of the original DA. I've managed to review these documents, and I think there's still a number of items that are outstanding, but obviously a lot of them have been addressed. So the ones that are outstanding, firstly, the traffic count and parking surveys were undertaken in December, the week before school holidays, which aren't representative of a typical commuter weekday. It is industry practice that data collection wouldn't be collected at such a time unless you're trying to capture holiday style traffic. So that therefore brings into question the validity of the data collected, especially in contrast to observation during typical weekdays where Todman Avenue queues significantly in both directions. So that can make right turns into and out of the estate quite difficult, and I understand photos have been sent through to council by residents separately. It also doesn't mention the reduction of available parking in Todman Avenue due to the cycleway works. There's been no consideration of the environmental capacity impacts that I mentioned in my report, which has been referenced in the RTA Guide to Traffic Generating Developments. It is likely the traffic numbers will be exceeded for the residential community, which can bring about additional impacts such as safety, acoustics and pollution, etc. From the planning perspective, there are also questions about the parking requirements and impacts. So in the Statement of Environmental Effects and the Council Assessment Report, there is mention of two different GFAs that have been used, so 400 square metres being one and 468 square metres in another. The assessment of parking has been focused on the lesser number, which therefore obviously lessens the parking requirements for the site to 16 in total. That brings about questions about the rates being used, because medical centres have a variable nature of parking requirements and traffic generation, which is referenced to, Council also referenced that in the 2015 Transport for New South Wales Medical Centre study. And that suggests parking requirements could be higher based on staffing, especially if you build up parking demand based on first principles. So there are 13 rooms. There will obviously be waiting patients and staffing, which therefore would obviously exceed the 16 parking spaces required if you considered all the waiting rooms as well. There is also mention of occasional educational evening seminars, which are supposed to occur fortnightly outside of operating hours. And that would generate up to 40 patrons plus staff, etc. There is no assessment of this in the traffic report, including if parking is adequate to serve these demands, especially if they're competing with resident and visitors in the surrounding streets. It is unlikely that mode share will be favouring non-car users late at night as well. Lastly, I'd like to mention some of the design-related challenges. It's not clear how pedestrians will mix with vehicles at driveways, and sightlines from both access points don't appear to be assessed in the traffic report. And I'd requested for a road safety audit to be considered as well, which didn't happen. There is no mention of any crash history, and I would call into question the ability for drivers to see pedestrians in traffic when they leave the driveways, especially on Brompton Avenue, which is located on the inside of a curve with dense foliage, and I'm an accredited Transport for New South Wales Level 3 road safety auditor. Both access points appear to have allowed for two-way access, but don't appear to allow for two-way passing movements as well. I've had a look at the survey, and it's not clear how this traffic management arrangement will work. There's minimal opportunities for cars to pass when I've done my own swept path analysis on the survey provided. So essentially, I don't agree that it's compliant with AS 2890 provisions. So therefore, I also call into question the parking layout and how efficient it really is. It does contain a blind aisle and it's public car parking, and it will generate considerable two-way traffic in and out, given obviously its medical uses. And it's possible it could cause congestion at the access points, given that you can't pass within the driveways, and I think it could lead to patrons further parking on street as well. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. Based on my review, I just think further information is still required for this DA to be determined.
Can I ask you a question, James, given that you
Sure.
are an expert in the traffic field? You said the traffic counts were a week before school holidays, is that right?
Correct.
Is that not still a working week?
It is, but if you specify any sort of traffic counts in that sort of week, there are likely to be people starting to leave away for holidays. The childcare centres that are around the site generally would start to have lesser numbers and the like, and parking demands could be considerably different.
So
And
what
that's
would you
also not
say-
acceptable from a Transport for New South Wales perspective in any studies I do as well.
Okay, what would you say is the likely percentage variation to the normal set of numbers?
Oh, it's a good
Roughly.
question, really. I mean, yeah, school literally broke up within 3 or 4 days after these surveys were undertaken.
Private schools
So
or public
it could be quite a considerable drop of traffic.
Okay, thank you. And the cycleways, your concern with the lack of information about cycleways was
Sorry.
what?
So there is an on-street cycleway on Todman Avenue that went ahead,
Yep.
and it's removed 11 on-street parking spaces,
Right,
and that
So
has been
that-
considered in the traffic report.
okay, right, thank you. That's just clarification. Anyone else, any queries? Who's an expert in the field? We can ask as many questions of him as we want.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker I have is David Park.
All righty, can you hear me? Everything good?
Yes, thank you very much. The floor is yours, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is David Park and I'm a resident and a committee member at the Raleigh Park Community Association, which has 500 residents. We're all council rate payers and voters living within this community. The Raleigh Park community strongly objects to the proposal for a medical centre within our community. 147 residents objected to this medical centre. The main objections relate to parking issues, traffic flow within Raleigh Park, evening seminars up to 40 people, hours of operations 7 days a week, 8 to 6 p.m, safety and security of residents, maintenance of Raleigh Park. This is a residential community and a medical centre is a high traffic business that Raleigh Park facilities cannot accommodate, as parking and traffic are already a serious issue. Childcare centre nearby, 64 kids, 128 car movements per day and 18 staff for parking. Heavy demand. Residents of Raleigh Park haven't been consulted on the impact of increased traffic flow and parking issues that have been created by allowing this proposal to go ahead. This proposal to operate seminars from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. fortnightly is unacceptable and should be removed, as there is no way this can be monitored to ensure seminars are only taking place once a fortnight, leaving the door open for MAVE to increase the number of seminars conducted over, 7 nights a week. Operating hours proposed are excessive and need to be reduced to 9 to 5 p.m, Monday to Friday, with all after hours and weekend operations be totally removed, as this does not fit within a residential community environment. MAVE have clearly outlined that in their website that they will be dealing with abuse, mental health issues, which exposes residents of Raleigh Park to potentially threatening and violent situations. This could include women who are victims of domestic violence, and this introduces a whole range of safety and security risks for our residents. Randwick Council does not make any financial contribution to maintaining our grounds at Raleigh Park. The additional large number of people being introduced to our community means extra wear and cost to the residents of Raleigh Park that we have to pay for ourselves in this current environment. There are 6 other medical centres, all located within a true commercial area, and they're all operating less hours and less practitioners than what MAVE is proposing. MAVE has proposed 17 practitioners and is almost double the size of the 6 medical centres in the area. One of these medical centres, Alana, is already dedicated to women's health care and is less than 1 kilometre away on Anzac Parade, Kingsford, a true commercial strip. A medical centre should not be located within a residential community like Raleigh Park. This was approved, which you are not supporting. You need to consider the amendments I've mentioned and what restrictions will Randwick Council implement if MAVE want to expand the business onto the ground floor of the Menzies building to mitigate the issues raised. How is Randwick Council and MAVE going to control traffic flow, parking and real safety concerns, as James mentioned, in and out of traffic flow is a real concern. Would there be any post-operational survey assessments? So we're very concerned about the traffic movements in and out of that area. And, we really needed to be, we had 5 days notice from the report being mentioned the other day when it was raised. So we've been scrambling for 5 days, and I believe you received a large number of papers and documents, which I please implore you to read and understand. There's photos of traffic and issues. And James mentioned again, the reducing of parking on Todman Avenue and also in Brompton Road. You may not be aware, I've sent a paper to you in any case. There needs to be removal of 4 parking spots, as traffic for garbage bins and large trucks can't come in and service certain people in our Brompton Road area, as they just can't get around there. So we've actually put witches' hats up there permanently to reduce 4 spots, which we're waiting for council to come in and review the actual parking in that area. It's a closed, I wouldn't say closed community, but it's one-way traffic in, one-way traffic out. The roads already do not allow pass-through traffic. They are full to capacity.
Thank you very much. You're over your 3 minutes. Is there anything else you want to say quickly? Or are you done? Okay.
No, I'm happy to let you go.
Thank you. Any queries, questions? Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Clark. Next speaker I have is Dorothy Crisford.
Can you get me?
You're right.
Am I on?
Yes, have you got a camera so we can see you?
Yes. Yes.
Could you pop
Can
that
you
on?
see me?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Mr. Park, can I ask you to turn your camera off? That's it. So
Onto yours.
we can't see you yet, Dorothy.
Oh dear. I'm just trying to get the camera. David, how do
It's
I?
okay.
Doesn't allow her to give camera access for some
Don't
reason.
worry, don't worry. Don't worry. You can just speak. That's fine. We can hear you. The floor's yours. You've got 3 minutes, Dorothy.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Madam Chairman. I'm attending this meeting, in the role of the chairperson of the Raleigh Park Community Association. This is a community-based, self-funded complex, which we have a management statement and a series of bylaws that need to be adhered to and followed by this project. This proposed health centre is not a small project, as was presented to us, and in fact it has the potential to develop into a multi-million-dollar business covering the whole of Australia. We were advised that once it is established, and that this would be the seed project, that other centres would open in other state capital cities and within the states. Raleigh Park was built and designed as a private residential housing estate and not intended to be developed as a commercial centre. 147 submissions were presented to council objecting to this change of use, and based on what I consider were false and misleading information given to us. These conditions you're looking at today are vastly different from what was originally presented to this community at a public meeting exactly a year ago on July 12, 2023. The meeting was addressed by Hannah, who presented as a sole person with an entrepreneurial ambition, and advised those present that this would be a women's health and wellness centre that would only operate on the weekdays of Monday to Friday. There was no mention of weekend operations. She was present at one of our community meetings. And from the council assessment that was provided 1 week ago to us, there has been a failure to provide procedural fairness and process for notification from the original DA stating occasional low impact health education to fortnightly 3-hour meetings from 6 to 9 p.m. for up to 40 people. And with only 16 parking spaces, it does not include the fact that with patients coming to meetings on a rotational basis over a 10-hour period throughout the day, the in and out of traffic, parking and movements is huge. And this is not stabilized parking. These are people coming and going, and they may not have their next appointment for another 2 or 3 months. There's also the building's intensity of use was stated that it would be no more than that of a standard office or a community clinic. This is incorrect. So this community is totally in opposition to a change of use based on the following. This project operating 7 days a week, and that it should only have been presented as being for 5 days. And the occasional hours of operation opens up a can of worms over a period of time. This could be wide open to abuse and further overuse. The fortnightly education segments, as David previously mentioned. It has been expressed to us that it's discriminatory as being only for women. And what about the health issues relating to men? There needs to be consideration for the management statement and bylaws of this community. And also we have signage bylaws which have to be adhered to and which may be in conflict with what Randwick Council have approved. So on behalf of the Randwick Park Committee and our community and residents, I state that after being asked for permission for a change of use, we are totally opposed to that change of use, and that was ratified again at a meeting on Monday when 70 people attended. If this were to be approved, it could open the doors and a hornet's nest for the ground floor, the basement, and a possible conversion of the vast roof space to then be allowed for a change of use over this building. So we, in the interest of transparency and accountability, we request that you delay any decisions so that re-notification can be allowed and that significant stakeholders have the opportunity to represent any further concerns and review this further impact. And we would like to take into consideration the childcare centre is right next door. There are 64 children dropped off in the morning and picked up in the afternoon, right next to the entry and exits where this centre is intended to be. The residents have been feeling ignored and patronised in this whole process, and we really would like you to consider us in that one. We find that these proposals for the excessive hours is provocative in the least, after we had initially been told it would be a Monday to Friday operation just for 5 days. So the hours would have to be cut back significantly. And I guess we are a little concerned that there may have been a meeting on site this morning in which the applicant would have had the opportunity to influence and persuade and
Ms. Christa, can I stop you there? Can I assure you that the owner of the premises was there to direct us to places within the building over which we have no right to go if they don't give us permission. There was no advocacy. It's not something we're interested in hearing, and that's why they're here to make representations in this meeting today, which you will be fully hearing. Okay, thank you very much. You've had over your 3 minutes. You've had about 5 to 10 minutes now. I assume you finished.
Appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the next speaker is George Abramovich. George, you there?
I've got it in. You want to have it? She let you go. So
I didn't mention the car accident.
George, are you there? No, George. Okay. So then we have the applicant. So I've got Philip Bull on behalf of the applicant.
Hello, panel. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much. Philip, can I ask you to do something before you start to make your representation? Can you or the applicant explain to the panel the nature of the operation? I've looked on site and I've looked through the documentation. I'd just like to get a handle on what this means on a day-to-day basis, because I suspect there might be some miscommunication about what this is in using the planning term medical facility. I'd like to know how it operates.
Okay. I mean, that's what I thought from the onset. I wasn't involved with the original DA. I got involved and prepared the amended DA. Yeah. My understanding, and if Hannah's on, if she could turn her mic and phone on, and maybe jump in after I just give a very brief planning overview. I mean, what is proposed is a medical centre. I suppose if you look at the floor plan, it's an existing office building. It's always been commercial. There's been some statement about this being a change of use. It's not really. It's a continuation of an existing commercial use of existing commercial floor space. So it's a series of rooms. There'll be individual professionals operating in those rooms. It's basically a medical clinic for women. And at that point, I'll hand over to Hannah.
Okay, thank you very much. Hannah.
She's frozen, I think.
She has frozen.
No, timing.
Is it just your camera or?
Hear me?
Camera. I can hear you, but your camera froze.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Could you just sort of explain to the panel how you see it operating? The numbers are being bandied about, and the number of people will be there at any point in time. I note from your websites, there's sort of 3 monthly appointments. I get a different handle on what I'd like to know how it will operate, how it's anticipated.
Yes. Perfect. So it is a medical centre for women, and the idea is that there will be GPs that are the heart of the model in Australia with specialists and allied health. And the idea is that it's one-stop shop for women. You come here and you can have the entire women's health journey under one roof. And so the consult rooms that are here will have practitioners in them. There are a number of procedure rooms, so they're not going to be used by practitioners who are seeing patients over and over again. They're sort of common spaces. And then there's the boardroom that you've seen, which is also another common space. And so it will take a while to fill the rooms with practitioners, but the vision is to have practitioners spanning primary care, specialists and allied health on the same team, that women can come and navigate their healthcare journeys in one space.
Now, this is a private facility, am I right?
A private facility, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And to clarify, it's not a domestic violence support. It's not the residents asked me if it was a rape crisis centre at one point. It's a private practice in the eastern suburbs where women will be paying, out of pocket as they do for lots of services, and it will be very high quality eastern suburb standards practice.
Thank you. Philip, over to you from the planning staff.
On that note, so look, I'll try and be brief, and thank you for the opportunity to address the panel. As I said, I was involved in the amended DA, and I was a bit surprised at the kerfuffle. And I think what's happening here is there's a bit of a, I think that the neighbours are speculating on what this is, and it is a medical, it's a medical facility, a medical clinic that specialises in women's health. This building is a heritage item. It's always been an office. When it was first listed as an item, the first approval was actually for a medical centre. That wasn't taken up. It was just used as general commercial space. But that consent's sitting there. And it's relevant because listening to the neighbour traffic presentation from James Turner, he seemed to be assessing the traffic implications of this use as if it's new floor space or a new layout. We're not proposing any new floor space or a new layout. There are 21 car spaces approved as per the 1991 consent. We're just using them because they're allocated to this floor space. In terms of how we've responded to the neighbours, there's been a process of doing a very complex amended plan for what is really quite a straightforward change of use. We've amended the traffic report. We've provided details of a lift. This is now an accessible premises. It never was. We've provided a plan of management, which the council can amend and deal with, and obviously statement of effects and so on and so forth. This use is permissible in its zoning as a heritage item under the conservation incentives, and it's also permissible under the infrastructure SEP. The reason it's in the infrastructure SEP is because a medical facility is infrastructure. Randwick is growing. There are more people in Randwick. It's a community that's ageing. It needs medical facilities. 51% of those people are women, and I think this is an appropriate location for a women's healthcare centre. So we accept the report. We look forward to a common sense and sensible decision from the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Panel, any questions of the applicant or her representative? Philip? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, panel.
Given that that was the last item on the agenda, I will formally close the meeting at 2:08. Thank you very much indeed.